You already know what discipline looks like. You have read about it, watched videos about it, made lists about it, had the conversation with yourself about it, probably more than once, where you decided that this time would be different. This time you would actually build it. And then life resumed its normal pace, and the discipline did not. Not because you are lazy, not because you lack the desire, not because something is fundamentally wrong with your character that makes consistency impossible for you specifically, but because most of what gets taught about discipline is theory, principles without practices, philosophy without application, the what without the how. And knowing what discipline is, understanding it intellectually, being able to describe it accurately, even agreeing with everything that gets said about it, does not build it. Only doing something daily builds it. Specifically, practically, in the real conditions of your actual life, not the idealized version, where motivation is high and the circumstances cooperate. The Stoics did not just philosophize about discipline, they practiced it every day, in specific ways, with specific tools, under real pressure. And those practices, stripped of the academic language, translated into what they actually look like on an ordinary Tuesday morning, when nothing is dramatic and everything in you wants to take the easier road, are what this video is about. 7 practices, not concepts. Practices, the kind you can start today. Before this video ends, here is the version of the discipline problem nobody talks about honestly. Most people are not undisciplined because they lack willpower. They are undisciplined because they have been waiting for a feeling that is never going to arrive. The feeling of readiness, the feeling of motivation, the feeling that today is the right day to start, that the circumstances are aligned, that the version of themselves capable of sustaining this habit has finally shown up. That feeling is not coming. Not because you are broken, because motivation is not the engine of discipline. Motivation is weather. It comes and goes based on sleep and mood, and what happened yesterday, and whether the coffee was right this morning. It is entirely unreliable, and it was never designed to carry the weight most people put on it. Discipline is something else entirely. It is the daily decision to act from your values instead of your current emotional state. To do the thing because it is who you are, not because you feel like it. And here is what the Stoics understood about building that most modern productivity advice completely misses. You do not build discipline by trying harder. You build it by creating a daily structure so specific, so repeatable, so embedded in your ordinary routine that the decision of whether to do it stops being a question. It is simply what you do. 7 practices, each one a specific daily structure, each one immediately implementable. Stay with me through practice 4. That is the one nobody expects on a list about discipline, and it is the one that makes all 6 others actually stick. Before we go into these 7 practices, if you have been looking for content that gives you real tools, not motivation that fades, not inspiration that sounds good and produces nothing, actual daily practices, the kind that build something permanent, subscribe to Stoic Blueprint. This is not a philosophy channel. It is a construction site. Hit subscribe. Let's build discipline. Practice 1. The morning intention. Decide who you are before the day decides for you. Discipline does not begin with action. It begins with decision. And the most important decision of your day is the one most people never consciously make. The decision about who they are going to be today. Not what they are going to accomplish, not how productive they intend to be, not what they plan to check off the list. Who they are going to be. Because without that decision made deliberately, before anything external gets access, the day belongs to whatever arrives first. the notification, the email, the mood, the news, the accumulated weight of everything that needs to be managed. And discipline practiced from that reactive state is not discipline. It is damage control. Marcus Aurelius made the same decision every single morning for 20 years. Before the empire arrived, before the weight of other people's needs filled every available space, he decided who he intended to be. He wrote to himself not as a prayer, not as a wish, but as a directive. Confine yourself to the present. Ask what is demanded of a person of good character, and be that. The practice is 5 minutes. Every morning, before your phone, one question written or spoken aloud. Who do I intend to be today? Not a long answer, one sentence, specific enough to mean something, general enough to apply to everything the day brings. Then carry it, consciously, into every interaction, every decision, every moment where the easier version of yourself is available and the intended version requires a choice. You will not always honor it. That is not the point. The point is having it. Because a day begun with intention, however imperfectly honored, is a day that belongs to you. The morning sets the direction, but direction without the ability to recover when you lose it produces nothing lasting. Practice 2 is how you recover. The single non-negotiable one thing done daily that is never up for discussion. Most people approach discipline as a collection of things they are trying to do consistently. Exercise, meditation, reading, journaling, cold showers, early mornings. A list of habits that constitutes the disciplined life, all of them important, all of them good, all of them competing for the same finite resource. And when that resource, motivation, energy, time runs short, they negotiate. I will skip the meditation today. I will read tomorrow. I will start the cold showers next week. And the negotiations compound until the list is gone. The Stoics built discipline differently, not through a list of equally important habits, through one non-negotiable. One thing chosen deliberately, aligned with the person you are building, that is never up for discussion, never traded for comfort, never negotiated away regardless of how reasonable the reason seems. Not because one thing is enough. Because one non-negotiable, kept absolutely, builds the most important resource in the entire discipline ecosystem: self-trust. The specific, earned, evidence-based knowledge that when you commit to something, you do it. Epictetus was direct about what happens without it. He wrote, "First, say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do." The non-negotiable is the bridge between saying and doing. The practice is simple and demanding. Choose one thing, right now. Something that, if done, every single day, would compound into the version of yourself you are building. Not the most impressive thing, the most aligned thing. And then do it. Every day, without negotiation, without exceptions that breed more exceptions. Let everything else be flexible. Let this one thing be absolute. And watch what that absoluteness builds in your relationship with yourself over 90 days. One non-negotiable builds the engine, but engines need fuel, and most people are running on the wrong kind. Practice 3. The deliberate fast. Remove one comfort daily to prove you do not need it. This is the practice that separates Stoic discipline from every other version of discipline. Because it is not about adding good habits. It is about proving that you are not owned by your comforts. Epictetus practiced voluntary deprivation as a non-negotiable part of his daily life. Not because material things were evil, but because the attachment to them, the quiet, unconscious, never examined requirement that certain comforts be present for life to be manageable, was a chain. And chains, however comfortable, are still chains. He wrote, Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. The practice is a daily fast, not necessarily from food. From anything you reach for automatically when the moment is uncomfortable. The phone when the silence gets heavy, the snack when the work gets hard, the social media when the anxiety rises, the background noise when the quiet becomes demanding. Pick one every day and go without it deliberately, not forever, for that day, and notice what happens in the absence. First, discomfort. Real, physical, impossible to ignore discomfort. Then, something else. The recognition that you survived it, that the discomfort did not require your immediate escape, that the comfort you removed was a want, not a need, that you are more capable of functioning without it than the habit of reaching for it suggested. That recognition accumulated daily builds a specific kind of freedom that no amount of positive habit building can produce. The freedom of knowing experientially, not theoretically, that you do not need what you thought you needed. And a person who does not need what everyone else cannot function without is a person the world cannot easily control. The deliberate fast proves freedom, but freedom without direction dissipates. Practice 4 gives it structure, and this is the one nobody expects. The gratitude audit, not for positivity, for perspective that sharpens discipline. Nobody expects gratitude on a list about discipline. That is exactly why it is here. Because the most common reason discipline collapses, more common than laziness, more common than poor planning, more common than any external obstacle, is this. The person loses sight of why it matters. The goal that felt urgent becomes abstract. The version of themselves they were building starts to feel distant. The gap between where they are and where they want to be stops feeling motivating and starts feeling discouraging. And in that discouragement, the comfort mechanism wins. The Stoics practiced gratitude not as a mood-lifting exercise, but as a precision tool for perspective. Specifically, negative visualization, the deliberate imagining of what life would be without what they had. Not the things they took for granted, the capacities, the ability to think clearly, to choose deliberately, to act in accordance with their values, to build day by day a self that no circumstance could take away. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present and ask of each thing, is this necessary?" The gratitude practice reframes the question, not, do I feel like doing this today? But am I grateful that I have the capacity to do this? That this choice is available to me? That I am alive, functional, and capable of building something right now? The practice is 2 minutes, every morning after the intention. Name 3 things, not possessions, capacities that you are genuinely grateful to have access to today. Then ask, given that I have these, what is the best use I can make of them? That question, asked from genuine gratitude rather than obligation, produces a quality of motivation that does not depend on how you feel. It depends on what you know. And what you know, when you are honest about it, is that you have more than enough to build with. Gratitude sharpens perspective. But perspective alone does not produce action when the moment is hard and the resistance is real. Practice 5 is where the resistance gets met directly. The hard conversations say the true thing, every time, without delay. Discipline is not only about what you do to yourself. It is about how you show up in relation to others. And one of the most consistent ways people undermine their own discipline, eroding the self-respect that makes everything else possible, is by avoiding the hard conversation. The feedback that needs to be given, the boundary that needs to be stated, the truth that needs to be said to the person who needs to hear it. The honest answer to the question that deserves one, rather than the comfortable approximation that everyone would prefer. Every time you avoid that conversation, every time you choose the easier version of the truth, or say nothing when something needed to be said, you send a message to yourself. I am not the person who says the hard thing. And that message compounds. Marcus Aurelius held himself to a standard that most people would find exhausting. He wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." The reverse demands equal discipline. If it is true and it needs to be said, say it, even when it is uncomfortable, even when the easier version is available, even when the person across from you would prefer not to hear it. The practice is a daily audit. Is there a conversation I have been avoiding that honesty requires? Not cruelty, honesty. If yes, have it today, before the avoidance has another day to become a habit. Because the person who says the true thing consistently, kindly, without delay, builds a relationship with themselves that is the foundation of every other form of discipline. They know they can be trusted to do what they said they would do, including the hard things. The hard conversation builds honesty with others. Practice 6 builds the most important honesty, the one with yourself. The Midday Reset, a 2-minute practice that saves the second half of every day. Most people lose their discipline somewhere between noon and 3. Not because morning discipline is easier, it is not, but because by midday, the gap between the intention set in the morning and the behavior produced so far has accumulated enough weight to feel discouraging. The plan did not go as planned. The energy dropped earlier than expected. Something arrived that demanded a response, and the carefully structured morning gave way to the reactive afternoon. And in that discouragement, the remainder of the day gets written off. I will start again tomorrow. The Stoics had a practice for exactly this moment. Not a full reset, a brief, deliberate return to the present. Seneca called it a form of philosophical hygiene, a daily practice of returning to your values before the drift of the day carried you too far from them. He wrote, "Every day, acquire something that will fortify you against poverty, against death, indeed against other misfortunes as well. Every day. Not every perfect day. Every day." The midday reset practice is 2 minutes. At the same time every day, noon, lunch, the moment between the morning and afternoon. 3 questions. What was my intention this morning? How has the day gone so far relative to that intention? What one adjustment can I make for the next 4 hours? Not a judgment of the morning, a recalibration for the afternoon. Because the day is not over at noon, and the person who can return to their intention in the middle of the day without drama, without self-punishment, without writing off what remains, has a fundamentally different relationship with discipline than the person who only counts the days that went perfectly. Perfect days are rare. Recovered days are what build the person. The midday reset recovers the day. The final practice makes the entire system permanent. The evening review, the practice that compounds everything else. Every practice we have covered today produces results. But without this one, the results plateau. Because the morning intention, the non-negotiable, the deliberate fast, the gratitude audit, the hard conversation, the midday reset, all of them generate data. Specific, honest, immediately useful data about the gap between who you intend to be and how you actually behaved. And data without review is just noise. Seneca understood this with the precision of someone who had built his entire life on the examined day. He wrote, "When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said. I hide nothing from myself. I omit nothing. Hide nothing. Omit nothing." 3 questions. Every evening, before sleep, before your phone, before anything that would allow you to avoid the honest accounting. 1. Which of the 7 practices did I honor today? 2. Where did I fall short, and what specifically caused the gap? 3. What will I do differently tomorrow? Not judgment. Data. Because the person who examines their own daily behavior honestly, specifically, without self-punishment, improves in ways that are invisible day by day and undeniable month by month. They are not trying to be perfect. They are trying to be honest. And honesty applied daily, consistently, without the comfortable evasions that most people allow themselves, compounds into something that looks, from the outside, like extraordinary discipline. But from the inside is simply what happens when ordinary people examine their ordinary days with extraordinary honesty. 7 practices, all of them doable today. Not in ideal conditions, not when motivation is high and the circumstances cooperate. Today, in the actual conditions of your actual life. That is where discipline is built. Not in theory, in the Tuesday morning reality of just doing it anyway. 7 practices. The morning intention, who you are before the day decides. The non-negotiable one thing kept absolutely. The deliberate fast proving you do not need what you thought you did. The gratitude audit perspective that sharpens rather than softens. The hard conversation honesty with others that builds honesty with yourself. The midday reset, recovering the day before it is written off. The evening review, the practice that makes all 6 permanent. None of them complicated. All of them requiring the one thing that no philosophy can provide for you. The decision to start. Not tomorrow, not when the conditions are better, not when the version of yourself capable of sustaining this finally shows up. Tonight, with practice 7. Review. Today. Honest, specific, unhurried. And then, tomorrow morning, begin. This is the system. It actually works, because it was built by people who had no choice but to find out. Which of these 7 practices are you implementing starting tomorrow? One number. Drop it in the comments. And if you already practice one of these, tell us how it has changed things. 1 sentence. That is the conversation this channel was built for. And if this gave you a system you can actually use, share it with someone who has been trying to build discipline without the right tools. This is Stoic Blueprint, built for the ones who are done knowing better and ready to do better. There is a video on the screen right now that continues this work. I will see you there.